Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Tuesday, the 13th day of March, year of our Lord 2018. Welcome to the John Moore Show. Well, the breaking news is the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, has been asked to resign, which he did do. He resigned. He's being replaced by the Director of the CIA, Mr. Pompeo, to become the new Secretary of State, subject to approval by the United States Congress. The second in command of the CIA, a woman whose name is not in front of me here, will take over Director of the CIA, the first female to be the Director of the CIA. I believe she's a career CIA person, is my recollection. Okay, prepper tip of the day. This is one we've never done before, by the way. Anytime you want to go rock climbing or rappelling, be sure you remove your rings from your fingers. Seriously, remove your rings. If not, you may end up losing a finger. That would not be a very pleasant experience, to say the least. So that's your prepper tip of the day. If you're going rock climbing or rappelling, to remove your rings first. We're going to have open lines this first hour. The second hour, Leon Green has returned from his skiing trip in Europe, and Leon will be with us. In the meantime, we'll take your questions, calls, and comments here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. The news continues to go in directions that I certainly didn't anticipate. These upcoming talks with North Korea certainly came as a surprise to myself, and I think most people. A good surprise. We shall see if the talks, well, first of all, if they happen, which is still an if. If they do happen, what positive outcome there will be for the West. There's Mr. Jong-un and his father and grandfather have a track record of making promises they don't keep. And the commentators are saying that the sanctions against North Korea are what's causing these talks to be happen in the first place, that they're hurting North Korea, and they're coming to the negotiating table as a consequence of the sanctions, which, if that's true, that's fine. That's what sanctions are supposed to do. And it's far better to negotiate a settlement than it is to go to war. And that's, hopefully that will be what will happen. North Korea is truly a Stalinist regime with all the operating ways that the was taking place during Joseph Stalin's reign over the Soviet Union. It's a closed society. North Korea is a closed society. They extremely limit the ability of the citizens to know what the rest of the world is doing, how it's doing it. It's so complete the way they propagandize their people that North Koreans feel sorry for Americans. They think that Americans are living in poverty, lacking food, lacking basic necessities, and they actually feel sorry for us. That's how complete their propaganda is up there in North Korea. Internet access simply doesn't exist. Access to Western publications, movies, TV shows, music is almost non-existent for the average North Korean citizen. People in the government and high-ranking military people, they have access to what's actually going on, but pretty much nobody else does. That's the way it is with North Korea. Okay, let's see what we can do here. At my website at thelibertyman.com, let's see, I got two different computers going here, and it's always fun to try to segue from one to the other. I've been working with Tim Spencer to get a new image up. Hopefully that will happen this week. My listener didn't send the screen capture. They didn't have a way to get it. So we've got to get the screen capture ourselves from this next movie, where a continent with new coastlines has been found within this film. Hopefully that will happen this week. Getting close to, we're only a couple weeks away now from my speaking appearance in Dallas at the Hear the Watchman Conference. That will be March 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th. I am the keynote speaker at the luncheon on Saturday the 24th. And look forward to seeing a lot of you down there. It's going to be a great conference, a lot of great speakers. I'm very honored and humbled to be the keynote speaker. Okay. Yeah, and my engineer just sent me a note. There's going to be the first ad during this first break coming up will be about the Hear the Watchman Conference. I'm going to pull up the listing of all the speakers here momentarily, and we'll talk about these speakers and who's going to be there. It's a great opportunity. You know, we like to watch people on YouTube and these various social media platforms, Facebook and so forth, but there's no substitute for being in the same room with a person when they're speaking. The dynamics are entirely different to be in that room when a person is speaking. And that's what makes these conferences so important and so desirable to attend. I've been working on my handout. Everybody that attends the luncheon where I'm the keynote speaker will be getting a handout from me. It'll have the bullet points of my presentation, and so people can follow along as I do my presentation. We're probably going to have some graphics. I don't do PowerPoint. For you youngsters out there, people under age 50, we used to call PowerPoint a slideshow. And it's a slideshow. I don't do slideshows. Well, here's the listing of all the speakers. We'll just go through them one at a time. Henry Groover, excellent speaker, great reputation. John B. Wells, I've had John on my show when he was starting his new show to help promote his show. L.A. Marzulli. Then we got Messianic Rabbi Zev Porat. I've known quite a few Messianic Jews over the years. They're a great bunch of guys and gals. Paul Begley. I've had Paul on my show. I think I've been on Paul's show. I think is how that worked. Sometimes I forget who's been on whose show. Next we go to Dr. Michael Lake, and then Derek Gilbert, Russ Dizdar, Lisa Haven. Everybody knows Lisa. She's hugely popular on YouTube. Does a great job. Carl Gallups, Josh Tully. I've been on Josh's show. I think Josh got into some trouble there with the out west with what was going on with that ranch out there. I think he got in over his head for a little bit there. Michael Bodea is next. Then we got Bill Salas, Mary Colbert, Dr. Don Colbert. Then we got Coach Dave Dobbenmeyer, great reputation there. Casper McLeod, I got a photo of Casper there with his guitar. And let's see. Then we got the workshop leaders. We got Christina Peck, Josh Peck, Brandon Gallups, Watchman Alexander, and Ray Gano. Then at the bottom of this is Colonel John Moore, host, Liberty Man Radio, keynote luncheon speaker. That's my new headshot, by the way. The old headshot was getting a little age on it, so we went to a professional photographer, had a new headshot done a couple of weeks ago. You know, putting on an event like this takes a huge amount of planning. Typically starts anywhere from 6 months to a year before the event. That's how much lead time you need to put one of these things together. Now, if you do plan on attending, you can go to my website and get the code to get a discount. That will help. There's a DVD set that you can pre-order. There's the live streaming version of it, which the discount applies to that also. Let's see, it says 9 days and 10 hours and 48 minutes before the event starts, in less than 2 weeks. 9 days. That will be here before you know it. So the time to get your discount code and get signed up is now. It really is. That would be a smart thing to do, don't you think? Okay, well, let's close that out and go back to thelibertyman.com. It's a work in progress. We don't put new things on my website every day. Typically, once a week or so, we will put up something new on my website. It has to be at a certain level of significance before anything will get posted on my website. We don't just haphazardly post things up there just to be doing it. It's just not the nature of how we do business. We pick things that are important enough to qualify to be on a John Moore website, and then we go ahead and put them up there. There's probably some things that could be come down, no longer needed. Here's my most recent thing. I'm going to have Tim modify this a little bit. It doesn't really, the title is not quite what I need it to be. There on the left side of my homepage, just a little bit below my new headshot, Chasing Technology, Emotions versus Logic. This is new. This is my article I wrote in response to the anti-gun rhetoric that's taking place at the national level in many states. Chasing Technology, Emotions versus Logic. I'm not going to read the article to you. You read it yourself, but what my observation is when it comes to these pro-gun, anti-gun arguments, discourse taking place, I go back to my training in college when I was a college debater. One of the first things you learn in college debate, at least myself, you can't use a logical argument against an emotional argument. You can't, it won't work. And that's what we're seeing. The anti-gun rhetoric is based on two things, emotion and ignorance. Emotion and ignorance. Emotion is obviously driven by the tragic deaths that occur. The ignorance is driven by a lack of knowledge of firearms, the gun culture, what firearms can do, what firearms can't do. That's the ignorant side of it. Now, on the pro-gun side, we have logic and knowledge. Logic based on knowledge of our Second Amendment, logic based on our traditions as a country, logic based on what's real and what isn't real, and knowledge based on what firearms can do and what firearms cannot do. I've been observing and watching these arguments go back and forth for decades, literally decades. I've been an NRA Life member since, I believe, about 1985 or so. That's about right, 1985. I've been part of the gun culture my entire life. I got my first BB gun when I was 8 years old and went from there. I am an NRA certified firearms instructor, combat veteran of Vietnam. But we won't see any resolution to these arguments. The anti-gun people, their emotions are not going to be changed by people using logic and knowledge. It's simply not going to happen. The pro-gun people are not going to be affected by the emotions and ignorance of the anti-gun folks. That's not going to happen either. So we have a bit of a quandary here, don't we? Of course we do. Who's stuck in the middle? Well, quite literally, who's stuck in the middle is the legislators. At the local level, state level, federal level, the men and women who make the laws, ordinances, if you will, at the city level. And they're driven by their ignorance and their need to get reelected. Now, in places like California, the wind has blown in the anti-gun direction, and California State House members and Senate members And as far as that goes, most congressmen and the two senators from California pretty much all know that the majority of their constituents will be driven by emotion and ignorance when it comes to firearms, and they will vote in favor of anybody, I should say, who is proposing more strict firearms regulations, firearms laws. The men and women who are in office and running for office in California know this and understand it, and they cater to the masses, to the lowest common denominator. They cater to the emotion, they cater to the ignorance, and they fan the flames of that emotion and ignorance. They making it far worse than it actually would be otherwise. Most of the rest of the country, the 50 states, with the exception of a few, California, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Connecticut, there's some others, Virginia is one. Most Illinois is another one, Wisconsin. Most of the other 40 states or so, I don't have an exact count in front of me, the people are not swayed by emotion and ignorance. They understand firearms to a greater degree. They understand the emotion of people on one hand, but they don't get caught up in that emotion themselves. Huge difference. Donald Trump is president largely because of people who are not driven by emotion and ignorance. Donald Trump, in my opinion, was elected president because of his ability to build logic and knowledge as opposed to emotion and ignorance. That's my opinion, but based on my observations. I'm sure you may have your own. May or may not be the same as mine. That's okay. It's a free country. We can have different opinions, can't we? Here's our first break. Call number is 800-313-9443. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Okay, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Wednesday, the 13th of March. Once again, if you plan on going to Dallas to see the Hear the Watchman conference, go to my website, click on the banner or look at the banner, I should say, to get the promotion code to get $20 off the admission price if you're going to the event in person. If you're going to watch the event on the video stream, you can get a 20% discount from that. So that's right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. The article I was talking about that I wrote, Chasing Technology, Emotions versus Logic, we have a link to a video there Now, if you're under age 60 or under age 65, you may not have ever seen the TV show, hugely popular in early 1960s, titled The Rifleman, starring Chuck Connors. More than 150 episodes. It had a great run. The popularity was massive. The introduction to the TV show was the same for all the episodes, and it begins with the star of the show, Chuck Connors, shooting an 1892 Winchester lever-action rifle. Every episode begins the same. He shoots this 1892. That's the first year the rifle went into production, by the way. He shoots this rifle 12 times in 4 seconds. Listen carefully. 12 times in 4 seconds. Now, it's very dramatic, and that's one of the things that helped make the show so popular, was this very dramatic introduction. You hear the anti-gun people referring to AR-15s as weapons of war. Well, they're not, because, first of all, they're semi-automatic. Armies don't issue semi-automatic rifles to their troops. They issue full automatic rifles to their troops, at least these days, in the modern era. Now, at some point in time, pretty much every rifle, centerfire rifle, I should say, has been issued to an army someplace, somewhere, including the 1892 Winchester, almost at 1894, which is another model. The 1892 Winchester was in continuous production from 1892 to beginning World War II, where they stopped for 4 or 5 years. Other companies are now manufacturing, as we speak, in 2018, manufacturing brand new 1892 Winchesters in various calibers. The original run was more than 1 million rifles, 1,700,000 and change, 1,007,000 and change, I should say, 1892 Winchesters. The anti-gun people get caught up in fear of rifles that can shoot rapidly. That's the point here. They have an inherent fear of rifles that can shoot a lot of rounds very quickly. And there's some inherent belief that this is a new development. There's something recent and modern about rifles that can shoot a lot of cartridges, a lot of ammunition very quickly. Part of what I'm attempting to do here is show, 1892 doesn't sound very recent to me. Not at all. Well more than a century ago. Well more than a century. We had rifles that could shoot 3 rounds per second. It's difficult to do that with an AR-15, by the way, in case you don't know. With any kind of accuracy, it's very difficult to shoot an AR-15 3 rounds per second. That's a lot. If you haven't tried it, I encourage you to do so. There's literally millions of lever action rifles in the United States. As far as that goes, all over the world, even most anti-gun countries will allow the ownership of lever action rifles. Now, the rifle that Chuck Connors used in that film, in that TV show, had one small modification to it that allowed it to more easily shoot rapid fire. That was the installation of a screw in the lever. These are called lever action rifles for a reason. They have a lever on the bottom side of it. The lever is part of the trigger guard. And to reload, you push the lever down, which removes the spent cartridge. You just shot, picks up a fresh cartridge, and when you're pulling the lever up, closes the action, and it's ready to shoot again. The installation of a small screw inside the trigger guard to where it will press against the trigger when it gets to that upward position will make the gun discharge as soon as that lever is in the fully closed in the upward position. This is something any high school shop student could do during a 1-hour shop class, which is basically drill a small hole, tap it, and put the screw in. Not a big deal. Here's our bottom of the hour break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. Okay, we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 13th of March. Our website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. If you need a private consultation, there's people out there that do. If you're one of them, you can get the details on my professional consultations right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. If you want to put together a community event, it could be for your church, your family, your community. The details on how to do that are there at my website also. On the right side is professional consultations, keynote presentations. I really like getting out to these events. Fun. I look forward to the one in Dallas coming up here. It begins in 9 days. Pretty quick. 9 days. Also, on my website, of course, are energy cleaners. I think more these days. Also seeing a lot of repeat customers, men and women who've had success with the energy cleaner, getting their life back, and they want to pass this along to their children, their parents, their siblings, people they're close to. They want to see them get their life back also. It's a marvelous healing device. If you have pain issues, okay, sounds like I wasn't on the air there for a little bit, talking about the energy cleaner. If you have pain issues, arthritis pain, joint pain, it will probably help. Back pain, help there also. Not getting a great night's sleep, well, as my wife, Dr. Moore, says, when you sleep is when you heal. I slept like a rock last night, by the way, using my energy cleaner. If you go to bed with minor aches and pains, you'll wake up pain-free in the morning, ready to go get them after a great night's sleep. Only $285 should be included to American zip codes. Keep in mind, I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. That's from me to you personally. I do take PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. You send me a check or money order. My address is right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. I have a toll-free auto line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. I was reading the legislation before the Illinois legislature, and one of the things I noted was they're focusing on 50 caliber rifles. Once again, it shows me, and it should show all of you, what the anti-gun people, what the communist socialists are afraid of, is men and women owning 50 caliber rifles. I don't know if a 50 caliber rifle has been used for committing a crime in this country or not. As most of you know, I'm a voracious reader, and when it comes to Second Amendment matters, I read a lot. I'm not aware of 50 caliber rifles being used to commit crimes. They may have, they may not. I don't know. If they have been, it's a tiny 1/10, one tiny fraction of a percent of crimes using firearms would involve 50 caliber rifles. So why the focus on that? Well, I think I know why, and we'll have Jeff Nyquist on here tomorrow. But the communists are fearful of men and women being able to resist the takeover of their country. And 50 caliber rifles are one of the ideal firearms for the militia. The militia being all able-bodied men and women age 18 and older. Nationwide. All able-bodied men and women age 18 and older. By statute, there's two federal be able to resist tyranny. Power, accurate weapons. They certainly are. So the 50 calibers have been out of the news for a number of years. At some point, the legislators realized that chasing this technology is a futile effort because somebody can manufacture a rifle that's 49 caliber that does everything a 50 caliber would do, just as one tiny example. And they don't understand technology. They really don't. My friend Todd Aiken, who was a U.S. congressman here representing Metro St. Louis area, when he was in the State House, he says, John, anytime we have a committee involving anything to do with engineering or technology, we rarely, if ever, have a liberal on that committee. Almost never. He says, John, when it comes to anything involving engineering or technology, the liberals simply aren't present. They don't get it. They don't understand it. It's not part of who they are. They don't have the education or experience to be a useful part of a committee having to do with engineering and technology. So they simply don't sign up to be on a committee having to do with engineering and technology. And that makes perfect sense. Look at the schools I go to. Look at the degrees I get. Now, I have nothing against a degree in art history or a degree in political science or a degree in sociology. Those are all useful degrees in a person's chosen career path. On one hand, on the other, getting a degree in those areas is not going to help you in any way, shape, or form understand technology and engineering. They can't and they won't. So that's pretty much a given and no surprise that that most liberals, progressive, socialist, communists, that they would not gravitate towards anything involving technology and engineering. It's no surprise at all. It's quite frankly expected. We got a caller on hold here. We got Rick in Missouri. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, John. Hey, you know what? I was trying to call in yesterday, but never actually achieved that. There was something I wanted to say about ballistics, and I, in their ignorance and chasing important things like magazine clippings or whatever it is they're doing, and 50 caliber BMGs. That's all marvelous, but you know the saying, beware of the man with one rifle.
Right.
I'll let everybody have a 50 caliber, but what worries me are the people with the M14s, the M1As, because there's a group of human beings that I really would prefer did not shoot at me. They don't own those weapons for nothing, and I'm not honestly sure if I'm sitting there eating my cereal. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to tell the difference between getting hit in the chest with a 50 caliber or a 308. I'm it's going to hurt. So now, and the other thing I want to say about this is that, in most places in the country, these long-range weapons are not necessarily ideal. For places where the shots are going to range from 100 yards to a few hundred yards, 308 is certainly up on the table, and for that matter, so is a 45-70, which is a much slower round, but there is a chunk of metal going out there with fantastic muzzle energy. And in closer, if you get hit, I don't care if you're wearing body armor, if you get hit with a 1-ounce shotgun slug or a load of buckshot, even number 4 buck carries foot-pound muzzle energy of over 2,000 pounds. And I don't care if you're wearing body armor. I doubt you're going to survive that. So,
well, it's called blunt force trauma. If you get hit with a sledgehammer in the chest hard enough, it will stop your heart. Right.
Yeah, it sure will. And I know there are some instances of people who have been shot with wearing armor, with a shotgun and survived. But, that was after weeks in the hospital. So obviously that man, whoever got hit, was not in the fight at that moment. There was an interesting thing, speaking of velocity, that happened this weekend, and I was going to mention it yesterday. I keep a 17 HMR where I can get my hands on it quick because we have varmint problems, a lot of them, and one of the things that we have, and ladies, hang on to your socks. We have problems with Eurasian sparrows. Now, here in Missouri, Eurasian sparrows are known for killing the state bird. They murder bluebirds as fast as they can find them. They'll take over their houses. They'll trap them inside the house and peck them on the head until there's a hole in their head. If they can get in there when the bluebirds are not in there, they'll kill all the babies. It's just a rough deal. So the Audubon Society, not in charge of euthanasia, will tell you that if you can find a Eurasian sparrow, please kill it. So, I've got bluebird houses, and whenever I see a Eurasian sparrow, I'm going to kill it. And the perfect tool for that job, in my opinion, is a 17 HMR. I had one sitting in a 4-foot. It was sitting on the bluebird house and moved to a nearby fir tree. And I got the window open without scaring it, and I hit this thing pretty square, I guess. I saw a basketball-sized halo of feathers in the air, and it just suspended itself there like a balloon for a minute. And then I went down to see what happened. I could smell guts, but never found the bird. I looked for 5 minutes for that bird, and I saw little bits of red here and there, and never did find the bird. So, it's a very, for those of you that are not sure, it's very tiny. It's 0.17. If a 22 is 0.22, this is smaller than that, but it's moving at 2,550 feet per second. And so, for things, for varmint and stuff like that, and for other pests, wow, what a great tool, and not expensive. I think this Marlin bolt action cost me with a bull barrel, costs about $200, $215. It's just a great tool for small game and varmint. But what I was really fascinated by was just the ballistics of this little guy. It really is. It really is just, to me, just astonishing. Say again?
Listen, I
am. Yeah, I'm breaking up.
Rick, are you on a cell
Oh, yeah, driving down the highway. Yes, sir.
Right.
I'll call back.
Rick, we're only getting a few words here and there. We're going to have to get you. You have to hang up and start this fresh because we simply can't hear you anymore. Okay, call number is 800-313-9443. Well, what was happening when Rick shot that Eurasian sparrow is that it basically exploded. I'm not familiar with that breed of bird myself, Eurasian sparrow, so I'm not sure I would know one if I even saw it. But it's certainly highly unusual for the Audubon Society to advocate the killing of a bird. So that must be a pretty serious matter to have the Audubon Society advocate the killing of any bird. Amazing. And Rick, sounds like you're doing a good job out there in St. Charles County, eliminating these invasive species, the Eurasian sparrow. I don't own a 17 caliber rifle myself. My friends that do, they speak very highly of them, not just Rick. And it's a tiny projectile. It goes extremely fast, 2,500 feet per second. That's a mile in 2 seconds. A mile being 5,280 feet. So, that bullet goes half a mile in 1 second. Pretty darn fast. A lot of foot-pounds of energy, which certainly accounts for that Eurasian sparrow being exploded into Kingdom Come when it got hit. So, yes. My CZ American, I think it is, bolt action. It gives you the ability to change out at your kitchen table. It needs no highly specialized training or tools, either one, to do it in just a few minutes. Change out. You've got your choice of 3 calibers: 22 long rifle, 22 Magnum, and that 17 HMR that Rick was talking about. I have the 2 barrels, 2 of the 3, and maybe this spring I'll go ahead and get the 17 caliber, just to see what it's like and test it out a little bit. And the CZ American is just an absolute nail driver. CZ has been manufacturing firearms for more than 200 years. When I was in the Czech Republic last July, I did want to visit the factory. There simply wasn't time. I may be back in the Czech Republic this coming September for another speaking engagement. I'm going to try to be in Prague one more day so I can have the opportunity to visit the CZ factory. That would be a fun day to get down there. I've been told it's less than a 2-hour drive from Prague to get to the CZ factory. Czech Republic's a beautiful place, by the way. Beautiful country, great infrastructure, beautiful people, and they're survivors of communism, and they've had it with communism. I've met several people from the Czech Republic. They're smart. They're hard workers, they're Christians, and they want nothing to do with communism. And having grown up under communism, they know it when they see it. They know it when they see it, and they see it here all over the place. It's, the various socialist communist programs that are being instituted that aren't called communist or socialist, but if you understand what communism and socialism is, you recognize it. Here's our break. We have time for one more call before the top of the hour. 800-313-9443. Okay, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Wednesday, the 13th of March. The pro-gun movement needs your help. I want to encourage all of you to please consider joining one or two, at least, of the national pro-gun groups. Gun Owners of America, quite frankly, is the leader when it comes to being the strongest pro-gun outfit when it comes to being for appropriate legislation and against inappropriate legislation. Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, a small group but very powerful. They've done some of the best research and publications of any group, quite frankly. And let's not leave out the National Rifle Association. It's interesting to see how the mass media portrays the National Rifle Association as being, quote-unquote, the gun lobby, and always connecting the NRA to firearms manufacturers. Nothing could be further from the truth. The power of the NRA comes from their rank-and-file members, just regular old barefoot peasants like me and you, men and women out there living their lives. That's the power of the NRA, and the legislators know it. The men in the U.S. Congress, the men in the U.S. House, they know that the power of the NRA comes from their members who will and do get out and vote. So there's a lot of benefits to all three of the arguments. Some other good groups, by the way, Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, National Rifle Association. There's other good ones. Don't get me wrong. There are. But pick one. Or two. Or gives more veracity, more clout with the U.S. senators, U.S. congressmen. Your money gives them the ability to do things with that money that they couldn't do otherwise. Seriously. Now, the NRA is the oldest and best known pro-gun group. Yes, they made their mistakes in the past, and I've talked about them publicly. The NRA was formed by former Union Army officers at the end of the Civil War to make sure there'd always be a cadre of instructors to instruct our soldiers for the next war. The NRA is the leader of training nationwide, training civilians, training police officers. They help with them. I'm not sure what they do with the military right now, what their interaction is with the military, if any. But I do know that many military officers themselves are members of the NRA. There was a time when the National Rifle Association published the names of the new life members every month. For privacy reasons, they don't do that anymore, but back in the 1980s, they were still doing that. And I remember reading those lists and thinking, what a great bunch of guys and gals, mostly men, of course. I want to be one of these guys. So it was 1985. I became a life member of the NRA. Here's our top of the hour break. We should be back with Leon Green. Stay tuned. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 13th day of March. Prepper tip of the day. If you ever go rock climbing or rappelling, I want to encourage all of you to remove your rings first. If you are rock climbing or rappelling and fail to remove your rings, you may have lose a finger. Not a pleasant experience, to say the least. So be sure when you go rock climbing and rappelling to remove those rings and put them in a safe place until you're finished. That's your prepper tip of the day. The breaking news is the Secretary of State has been asked to resign by the President. He has resigned. The President is nominating Mr. Pompeo, the current head of the CIA, to be the new Secretary of State. The second in command of the CIA is being nominated to take over the CIA, a career CIA employee, by the way. The first woman to ever run the CIA. She is gets through the nomination process in the United States Congress. That's breaking news. We have patient waiting agreement, my friend Leon Green. Leon is a gentleman who's taken the time, made the effort to become quite knowledgeable of all the wonderful things that doTERRA essential oils and related products can do when they're incorporated into your life. Leon is freshly back from Europe, where he took his son on a ski trip and was strapping these slick boards on the bottom of his feet and sliding down the sides of these mountains way too fast. Nothing I particularly want to do, although I got my own ways to get the adrenaline going. That's not my chosen way to do it. I'd rather jump out of airplanes. But with that said, Leon, welcome back to the USA.
Thank you very much, sir. Matter of fact, we're on our way up the Vale as we speak, so we pulled over to make the phone call.
Well, I appreciate that. It's a lot safer to drive and without a telephone and to sit still when you are on the telephone. So you didn't get enough skiing to suit you. You're going to go do some more, it sounds like.
Precisely, because I got to pass, and this is my son's last year of quote free skiing of sixth graders. And so we only got 2 days in Europe, and we were supposed to go to Israel, but they had no snow, so kind of sad. But I want to do as much as we can, and then I'm going back out to the field to do some more training and more smash up cars and pitting and J turns, and some other things. So.
It sounds like you're preparing to be in one of those Jason Bourne movies.
Yes, sir. Matter of fact, I went the first woman CIA to say, "Hey, we know you're not the typical age, and you're smart enough to do this. You want to come work for the CIA?"
Well,
I like everything they. I'll say this: I like the concept behind them. A lot of the actual implementation is not the best in the world.
Well, I came close to joining the CIA twice, and the first time, my entry-level position would have been a GS5, Leon, and in 1970, in 1970, a GS5 rating would have meant a lifestyle where I would share an apartment with 3 other young men working for the CIA, most likely. Because of security clearance issues, it'd be hard to cohabitate with somebody who did not have an equal security clearance for obvious reasons. Riding a bicycle back and forth to work because I couldn't afford to drive my British sports car every day. It was just on weekends. And then eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch. And actually working for less money than when I first got out of high school, working at doing manual labor in a construction crew. And I at the time I thought, well, the credentials would be great to impress girls at a local bar on one hand, but that doesn't pay the bills. So I let that go. Yeah. And then 9 years later, I was back with Special Forces in the reserves, in the Army Reserves, and you might recall the fall of 1979. We were having the Embassy of the Month being taken over by Muslims in one part of or communists, some part of the world, and I was pretty concerned. I thought maybe I should do my part and get active with the CIA. And my buddies that I was working with, Special Forces, they said, here's what they said. This is a direct quote: "John, they eat their own." So that's their reputation, which is well deserved. I don't know what's changed, if anything. So I would stay away from those people, quite frankly. The daughter of a friend of mine wants to have a career, and I haven't really sincerely tried. She's still in high school. I haven't really given her the same talk yet that I just gave to our audience, but I will at some point, given the opportunity, do my best to discourage her from becoming part of this agency.
Yes, sir.
The TV and movies have made them out to be something they're not. They're basically the enforcement tool for the New World Order. It's what the CIA is, for the most part.
Yeah, that worked for me last week.
Yeah. Well, Leon, we talk for a few minutes every week when you're not off doing some adventure training. And in the Army, we call what you do adventure training, by the way, which is fun, and there's a good place for that. But when you're not off doing adventure training and you can be with us, we talk about doTERRA essential oils, which you're a pretty healthy guy and pretty active. I'm a pretty healthy guy and pretty active. And what I notice when I'm out and about is that the men and women who are healthy and active, they don't necessarily accept and participate in.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up now, sir.
Hello, Leon. It looks like
Yeah, I'm here.
you're breaking up on my end also, Leon. Sounds like maybe you're not in the best spot there.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
It sounds like, apparently Leon is coming through okay, and I'm just not hearing him, so there's some issue with this equipment that we're using. Okay, Leon. Health. That's the bottom line.
I heard you say being healthy.
Health. All right. Maybe one of us needs to be reconnected. I don't know if it's myself. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, I agree. By being healthy, it's crucial that you have pure water. I mean, whether it's using a Berkey or a Katadyn or whatever, having good quality pure water is essential to rehydrate your cells. And food. Get as much organic as you can acquire. Exercise, and it doesn't have to be skiing for 2 days. Yep. Good to hear you. You sound great. And so, exercise
I'm
is
still having
describing...
a smile. Apparently what people are hearing from me is coming through fine, but I'm not picking up everything you're saying, Leon, and I don't know how or why that happens, but it is happening.
I'll reboot. I'll call right back in there.
Yeah, my engineer says you're coming through fine on the RBN end. But if you want to, it may change. I don't understand this technology sufficiently to know if you're hanging up and calling back would help or not, but it certainly couldn't hurt. If you want to do that, I'll carry the show here for a minute, Leon. Okay. Thank you, Leon. doTERRA essential oils. The highest quality, the purest essential oils that you can get your hands on. I work with a number of healthcare professionals, medical doctors, chiropractors, both other alternative healers. They all are aware of and they all make use of doTERRA essential oils. And these men and women don't know each other. This is important. You got healthcare professionals, past high school, get the credentials they have. They do their own independent research, and they reach the same conclusion. Okay, Leon, I see you're back with us. Give me a count to 5.
doTERRA really tastes good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think we're doing a little better than we were a moment ago. The On Guard, doTERRA proprietary blend, it's their version of thieves oil. Every time I go out in public, my wife wants me to put a little bit on my lip just below my nose, my upper lip.
Yes.
And I inadvertently last week, I got just a little bit on the lip itself, and almost instantly turned that little part of my lip numb. It was so powerful.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
and that's right, because the clove.
It's amazing.
Yes,
the power of one drop of these oils. And
you're right. And when you think of dentists, they've been using clove oil and having kids, chew on cloves when they didn't have the oil readily available because it numbs, those cells temporarily. And so when they're doing injections, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be taking a advanced dental off-grid surgical class. Remember I told you I took that off-grid medical class.
I'm still getting Leon breaking up in my...
Okay.
This is I don't know what to make of this.
Okay. Sorry about that. I hear you perfectly. Right now I do. So...
this is maddening. We get so used to this equipment working perfectly. It's just going to be maddening. Let's see what's happening this morning. Okay, well, Leon, I know people can hear me okay, so I'll just let me talk for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just looking for any place. They don't have payphones anymore very much. So now,
Leon started something on his own.
Okay, so what I was just trying to say is that
Valdo Terra is whatever kit you want to buy. As a thank you, both Leon and myself, you get to pick a rifle, shotgun, or pistol course at front sight at no charge. That Leon is providing that as a premium return.
Yes, sir.
What would be entry level for a kit to get this going?
Whichever platform they would like to learn more of, or if they want to excel at whatever they're good at. I mean, my son has taken 2 classes, and we're going to take 3 more in May. And so, he is probably better than 85% of all adults and children in America because, they do repetition and they catch any errors that are made. And so you really pick up the skills very quickly when you repeat it 1,000 times. And the class is a lot of fun. But yes, let me qualify when you said there's no charge. Other than the ammo and the background check, they do that for everybody. That's only, and however they get out there. If they live out there, they can camp. And there's campsites out there, too. It's right next to a big park, a desert park that you can. There are $1 million RVs and people who sleep in their tent, and everybody in between. People sleep in their cars or minivans and things like that. So it's a lot of fun. You get to learn a ton, and you get to meet a lot of like-minded people. So normally conservative Americans who believe in the Constitution. So you'll see many police out there, a lot of military, SWAT come out there for training. And people are astounded because they're thinking, why are these police coming here in military? Because the military doesn't have time or resources to be able to teach somebody for 4 days straight to this level, as both military and civilian. So it's very insightful. And then you can always do private classes if you choose later, in which it's just you and the instructor. So, I've got the private membership that allows me to take those, and so I can focus on my skills. So I can take this one class, which is a combat master. And there's only 32 people in the whole world that have reached that level. That's my next goal is there.
Well, this is the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. Frontside has an excellent reputation for doing world-class training. To have a premium like this for buying something that will help you be healthy, quite frankly, I don't need a premium to buy things that will help me be healthy. But to have that as a premium just is really icing on the cake, isn't it, Leon?
Absolutely. I wish I would have had the ability to go give it a try. And if somebody says, hey, I want a lifetime membership, I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on membership upgrades over the last, for 15 years, and I got another one for my son. So, it's totally optional. They don't have to, but I pretty much for certainty can guarantee that they will enjoy it. They will learn so much. And if they get the Natural Solutions kits, they get 2 of those. So they can do one being shotgun and the other rifle or handgun, excuse me, whichever they prefer. So, and then they get a free rental. So even if they don't own a shotgun or an AR or an AK for that matter, they can always rent them out there. So it's a lot of fun. And we have a friend out in California, out in Hawaii. I heard you talking to him back in December, Captain Ted. And so he got the M1, and I heard Jimmy talking about it. So, he wants to come out to California and see his relatives, and then come out to Frontside. And I said, you can do that. So I've already transferred him some, the membership because he got the Natural Solutions kit as well. So he and his daughter, or he can go by himself and go to 2 classes. So he's excited as well.
I bet he is. I know Captain Ted, and he's a great guy. That'd be a lot of fun for him and his daughter. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to participate, if you want to get up to speed with doTERRA, do a couple of things for yourself. Get a copy of the book, Modern Essentials. In fact, you might want to get 2 volumes. The fifth edition is great because they say things there they're not allowed to anymore. And then the more recently published, this past September, 9th edition. You'll have all you need there to get the knowledge. The second thing, of course, is to get my doTERRA website link. Send me an email. My email address is at my website, thelibertyman.com. And send me that email. By return email, I will send you my doTERRA website link. And then you're off to the races. Now, Leon, despite all the training and things you're doing, you're still making yourself available for private consultations, aren't you, sir?
Absolutely. People have left messages while I was overseas, and I've been able to get back with them. So it is feasible for them to do that, even while on trips.
Okay. What's that phone number, Leon, for your office?
Yes, it's 303-495-2188.
Okay, we got a break. We got a caller on hold. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 13th of March. We've got a couple of callers on hold. First, we go to Rick in Missouri. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning. I apologize for yanking your chain again. A couple things, and I'll be real brief here because I want to get these other people on. You do want to take off your rings before you do anything like rock climbing. When I was younger and I had kids in grade school, I used to do a lot of playground duties, and we had a concession stand with a flat roof, and the kids would intentionally kick the playground balls up there, and I got up there to get them down. I was one of the few people that could actually do that, and I jumped off the roof, which is about 15 feet, that somebody had driven a 16-penny nail in the facer board, and I hung by my wedding ring. God in His infinite wisdom knew, I guess, how I would roll as a young man and put me together with extra screws and bolts. I hung there, and it pulled my wedding ring up inside the skin on my finger, and I never got that fixed. Listen, I've been waiting a couple of weeks here, Leon, for you to return and assume the mantle of responsibility. There is something that almost no one knows, and it's fascinating, about lemongrass. Lemongrass, aside from being my favorite go-to thing for aches and pains and other deals, there's all this talk, there's all this chatter on the internet lately about taking Tylenol and ibuprofen, how it ruins your liver. If I'm going to do that, I prefer beer, frankly. So
Yes.
Lemongrass is the way I want to go. But here's something I wanted to mention, and this is absolutely fascinating. I've been talking to John and Tim Spencer about these swarm traps catching wild local bees. Do you know that it is almost completely impossible to catch one without lemongrass? Lemongrass, well, that's a good question. The lemongrass itself mimics the pheromone that bees exude when they find a new home. So what people do is they'll put a couple of drops of lemongrass, and when you're catching bee swarms, doTERRA is the best. Put a couple of drops of lemongrass on a cotton ball and put it in a sandwich bag, but leave the bag open and put that in your swarm trap. And that is, if you don't do that, your chances of catching a wild swarm are very low.
Well, it sounds like if you found the magic carpet, then I would definitely, there are forums out there for beekeepers that you could put out that information and just video, and then people who want to buy the oils buy them from you, sir. I didn't even know about that.
All right, well,
that's what I said.
If you want lemongrass from doTERRA, just go to send me an email. I'll send you my doTERRA website link, and you can get all signed up to get lemongrass. That'd be great.
Sure, get rid of those aches and pains and get some wild bees all at the same time. I'll get out of your way, guys.
Okay, Rick. Appreciate the call. This is talk radio at its best. When we learn from the listeners learn from us. We all learn from each other. We got our next caller here. We got Dan in Hawaii. We got a break coming up soon, Dan. We'll continue if we need to.
Okay, John, thank you. Yeah, that's really interesting about the lemongrass. Thank you for that information. Another thing, I had a girl that came over and worked for me 10 years ago. She got bit by a brown recluse. And if no one's ever seen it, it's a hideous thing to see, and it's extremely slow to, heal up. So I carry around a hip pack, small, very small, and I've got the On Guard in it all the time, just in case. I think that's very important.
I agree, but Purify is also very. There was a woman who actually lives in Missouri, and she got bit by a recluse spider. She was one of John's listeners about 2 years ago. Went to the doctor, and I was astounded by how the doctor didn't do some simple thing like take a picture of it to see the progression or regression of the spread of the toxin, and then he also didn't check back with me after X amount of time, and it was like get back with me in a week. Well, in a week she could be amputated or dead. That's how bad. And how toxic that the brown recluse is. You got it in the house, but On Guard is great to use. Also, use Purify. Purify has a lot of oils that are great at extracting on air, which extracts toxins. So I applaud you for the On Guard for both immunity, but the one called Purify is another. And,
well, I'll go ahead and get that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a horrible thing to see. You might want to see it online so people can realize the significance of what this little organism can do to you.
Correct.
On Guard and Purify. I'll get that.
Okay,
And,
here's our break. We'll get back to our discussion after the break. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back. So we're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 13th of March. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. My newest article that I've published, and I think Tim may publish it at ruralsurvival.info also. On the left side, it says Chasing Technology, Emotions versus Logic. It's my article I wrote concerning the current national debate on firearms. I think you may get some useful information out of it, including the link to the introduction of the hugely popular early 1960 TV show titled The Rifleman, where Chuck Connors shoots a 1892 Winchester 12 times in 4 seconds. Pretty phenomenal. Also, my website, of course, are energy cleaners for sale. This is my home business. If you have joint pain, arthritis pain, you need an energy cleaner. What are you waiting for? Not getting a great night's sleep? Well, get yourself an energy cleaner. Keep in mind I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee on energy cleaner, and most people get relief in anywhere from a few hours to 3 days, a week at the most. People start getting relief from the energy cleaner. It varies from person to person. It is only $285 shipping included, by the way. Most people these days are also getting the mattress pad to go with it. When you place your order, I'm the guy that boxes them up. I'm shipping 5 energy cleaners today, and I think 6 mattress pads. So get the details there at my website, where you can place your order using PayPal. PayPal is the most secure way to make purchases online. If you make purchases online, you really need to be looking at PayPal to give you some peace of mind about having a secure way to make a purchase online. MasterCard, Visa, you send me a check or a money order. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. I have a toll-free order line 24 hours a day. It's 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Sneeze there, excuse me. Okay. Before the break, we were talking about these brown recluse. Now, something I found that's good for brown recluse bites as well as poisonous snake bites is these electronic stun guns. So I would use both. I keep electronic stun gun handy all times with me in my motor vehicle, my Lincoln Town Car. So I would immediately zap it with electronic stun gun, whether it's a brown recluse spider or a snake bite, poisonous snake, and then follow up with the doTERRA oils. That's what I would do for myself, for my granddaughter. It wouldn't matter. We've got, in fact, more and more in my area, more and more paramedics are carrying electronic stun guns with them just for that purpose, to deal with snake bite effectively and brown recluse bites effectively. Leon, were you aware of that little bit of information?
I'd heard somebody, but I still don't understand the mechanism of how that's supposed to work. So I don't know I don't know. I'm just speculation that electricity must be killing because it's a toxin. So it's not like it's going to be electrocuted by the charge. So I'm trying to figure out how exactly it works. But I have to do some research. But.
Right. Well, the toxin is it's compromised and doesn't no longer has the adverse effects that it would have otherwise. That's enough for me. And doing more research there may be in something PubMed. Quite frankly, I don't know if there is or not. But Leon, you're a bright guy, and I'm sure now that we've piqued your interest, you're probably going to be on this, aren't you?
I am. And
I knew
I will grab a.
I knew it. We got a caller on hold here. We got Fred in Wisconsin. Good morning, Fred.
How you doing? This is kind of unrelated, but I just wanted to push this along. I bought an energy cleaner from you about a year ago, and I spent half my life as an electrician, And the other day I looked down, and we have actually 2 pads on the bed. I started out with a twin. My old lady started sleeping on my side of the bed, so I ordered another twin. So we wired it together. Make a long story short, I just had a pile of cable laying on the floor. And as a good electrician, it really hit me in the head that every time that we coiled cable, we figure eighted it. And there was a reason for that because of the way the electrons move. And I went ahead and figure eighted both of those cables, put some nylon ties on each end, and I'm not making this up, man. There is a big difference in the way that machine is working now. So I just wanted to pass that along to people. Just a simple thing is figure eighting the excess wire and keeping it in that position really makes a difference.
Well, the figure eight is my favorite knot of all times, and for different reasons. But that's a great heads up there, Fred.
Well, I just had to let you know because it makes a difference. My old lady's still in bed. I can't get her out, so it's 100% in that direction. You have a good day, guys.
Okay, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. That's news to me. How about you, Leon?
Yeah, same way. And so I can see that. I can see the practicality there, and I have a big morass of white spaghetti as well. So I'm gonna do that when I get home Thursday.
Yeah. Now the twin and the full size pads, they only have one wire, but the Queen King and California King, they have 2 wires connected together.
Yes, sir.
And it is a fairly long cable because we want to be sure everybody has enough cable. So doing a figure eight with that extra cable would be a good thing. If you don't know what a figure eight knot is, well, look it up on Google, right, Leon?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Matter of fact, I want to take my son talking about, mountain climbing, and we're going to be taking him out to front side. They have a base course there, and after that, we're going to do some canyoneering with a professional company that has been doing it for 15 years out in one of the canyons out there. So, yes, I agree with you. Take those rings off. It seems simple, but with what Rick said, it can be. There have been many people I've met, missing body parts, specifically, the ring fingers. Or been issues. So yes,
right.
That's a good tip.
Absolutely. When I was in basic training, they had the horizontal ladder, which I was quite good at, but it made a blister. My ring, my high school class ring, made a blister on my ring finger, and then I worked kitchen patrol, KP they call it, and that blister got infected, and I got blood poisoning. Put me in the hospital for a week with blood poisoning. Basic training. That was not fun. Just because I didn't remove my ring when I was doing that exercise, that horizontal ladder. We got a caller on hold here. We got Mike in Idaho. Good morning, Mike.
Well, as you know, removing your ring in jump school was mandatory.
Absolutely.
Because if you go out on an airplane, you snag your finger, you know what happens. But I was going to get back to you, John, on the stun gun you're talking about.
Right.
I can't remember the gentleman's name, but it was quite a few years ago. I was still working at NASA. He developed a stun gun that had a step down in it, so you had the power to use it for defense, but you could step it down to use it on yourself to neutralize venoms. And it's important to let people know that they don't want to hit themselves with a 70, 80,000 watt stun gun. They need one that steps down or low one. I've seen people hit themselves in gun shows with one and watch them go to the floor, and I don't particularly want to do that. But,
oh, yeah. Well.
But he, when he developed that, he'd been overseas in a village, and they had an old pickup truck up on a jacks. It just sat there, and what the heck's that? And then he found out because a young girl got bit by a scorpion. I guess over there where they were at, the scorpions could kill children. And they cranked that old truck up, and the chieftain took 2 wires out and started popping her all around it. And he said, 30 minutes later, this girl was up playing with the other kids and had no swelling or anything. But the American Medical Associations and the government shut him down and made him quit producing that step gun because people were saying it was for medical purposes.
Right. All right.
And that was in the 90s.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. It's actually volts, not watts, but it's not the
volts.
Yeah. It's the amps. So many of these modern stun guns, they'll put out 1,000,000 volts, but there's almost no amps. So I'll given the alternative of the consequences of a copperhead or rattlesnake or a brown recluse, I'll take the momentary discomfort of that stun gun compared to the alternative, which would be long-term and possibly deadly.
Yes, sir. Just that they did prove that it worked, and when they were trying to shut him down, saying there's no proof of this, a gentleman that worked for the aquarium down in Miami, the snake farm down there, had gotten bitten, and if I remember right, it was a coral snake, which is unusual, but they have the anti-venom there, but he had one of these guns, and he popped himself with it several times before he went to the clinic over there and got the anti-venom, and he said he had absolutely no side effects from it. So a lot of people try to come in and say they've used them, but the medical association did not want to recognize it. As you know, it's all a money thing.
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, John. Well, I sure appreciate your show.
Okay, thanks.
You have a great day. God bless.
Well, Leon, we haven't talked a whole lot about doTERRA essential oils this hour, on one hand. On the other, we're putting out some great information for people here. And it all works together. The doTERRA essential oils are not the standalone solution to all problems. They're part of the overall solution, aren't they, Leon?
Absolutely. And holistically, think of your body as a system. It's a collection of organs that make up an organism. And so in that off-grid class, they were describing how, when you have small cellular death, then you get to the point of having tissue death, and then organ death, and then organism death. And so they're all connected. So it's important that you great purified water, organic food as much as possible, movement, the four-letter word, exercise, getting out and actually, if you have a dog, walk them. I've even seen people walk cats, so go out and just be active. And so doing that mindset, like you said, you describe all the time, which is crucial. Take all these things into account, and you incorporate the energy cleaner now with the figure 8 technique and using essential oils, doTERRA, they can help you drastically. So when we flew on the plane going to Israel from Denver, we were using On Guard every 30 minutes. None of us got sick, my son and I. But when we arrived, there were 18 people in a group, and 4 people were sick once they hit the ground. And then others continued to deteriorate. And I made a mistake in the process of leaving. I didn't bring my entire stash with me. You can only take so much on the plane. And so, Nathaniel and I were healthy for the whole 2-week period. Then we flew back from Tel Aviv to Munich. And we had burned through some extra oils because we gave some oils to someone else who was sick. So she was really starting to get back. And so, we burned through our own stash. And so on the way back, we were taking peppermint, because it's antibacterial, antifungal. I would also like to add the On Guard because we've gone through that On Guard Plus. So, it's imperative you have the oils. Even my son said, maybe we should not have shared as much as we did. What's needed in Israel, especially the Arab quarter, you can walk into any store and buy antibiotics. They didn't really care, but on the other side, they were like, "Oh, you have to have a prescription." So
right.
I bought some stuff for the ladies who were going to buy it anyway. They couldn't walk because they were that sick. So I walked down through this area, picked up the stuff, got it to them. Then we went to the Knesset. We were trying to meet the Prime Minister. That's how many contacts this guy had. So failed him, but we did get a chance to go there. And so she took it. And many people said, "Why would you have bought antibiotics?" It's like, well, people who don't understand or have the faith and confidence of essential oils, they can use the things that have a shelf life, that have side effects, that could be, and antibiotics kill everything in your gut. Whereas when you take peppermint and On Guard, it will only kill the negative bacteria, Streptococcus, MRSA, Bacillus, all the bad stuff. People are like, well, how is that the case? And I always tell them, my response, and this is something I quoted myself, is God doesn't make mistakes, and He doesn't do side effects. So the oils have so many benefits, and there were people on the trip that were like, "Well, how do I buy these?" And so, I gave my card when we left them in Tel Aviv, and they flew home earlier, 2 weeks earlier, and so even on the trip, people saw the benefits of the oils, whether it was pain and walking or spraining their ankle while they were walking through places like that. In Getty, and so the oils spoke for themselves. I let everybody try the peppermint, and they were like, "Wow, I can breathe." It was just funny to see everybody.
Yeah. I see the same thing. My daughter and grandson will be visiting with me next week, and he's of course the top performing athlete with a scholarship to play football, and we'll be loading him up with all the oils before he goes back to college. The peppermint, the On Guard, Deep Blue, the things that an athlete needs, and make sure he's all squared away for the spring training that he'll be involved with coming up.
And it's good that your grandson, it's now, I think it's been his second or third year of using it. So.
Yeah, this is
Olympic athlete.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yep, this is his third year, and I would be surprised to see a doTERRA oils in the kit of many of these Olympic athletes. How about you, Leon?
Yes, sir. Matter of fact, I'm one of the leaders with doTERRA. And they sent me an email. I'll forward it to you. It shows this Olympian uses oils. There's many football players that are using them. There's a whole litany and list. They had a athletic description at the last convention, and they had all these athletes that came on stage, and many of them were quite famous. And they said, "Yeah, I use it for the pain, for increasing energy, for breathing better." And so, so I'll forward you that link so you can at least see, some of these people you may know of, and some of these and I know you like to be on top of things like that. So I'll send it to you when I get a chance, sir.
Okay, I look forward to getting that, Leon. Yeah, we got our last break coming up here. It's fun to see how all these people are connected with doTERRA oils, the top performing athletes, and just regular men and women who are out there working their careers as farmers and carpenters and plumbers and truck drivers and so forth. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. You'll get benefits from the doTERRA oils, won't you, Leon?
Absolutely, and it's not only for people. I mean, you can use them if you have livestock. You what's it called? The name's eluding me right now. The chicken company. It's not Tyson, but the smaller one. Purdue Farms. That's who it is. They even have a YouTube commercial. You can look online, and it shows they use. Yes, I thought I sent you that one as well, but. Purdue Farms uses thyme in lieu of antibiotics, so it keeps them organic.
Well, good for them. Good for Purdue Farms.
Yes, sir. And so if you YouTube Purdue Farms thyme
that's
oil,
good for them.
Yes. And so
okay, we got a break. We'll be right back, everybody. Hold on, everybody. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back, and we're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 13th of March. We're visiting with Leon Green. We're talking about doTERRA essential oils. Well, we covered a lot of territory today. As usual, our conversations went directions I really didn't anticipate. But if you want to get started with doTERRA essential oils, just send me an email. My email address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. By return email, I will send you my doTERRA website link. Get yourself a copy of the book, Modern Essentials. You may want to get two different editions, the 5th edition and the 9th edition. The 9th edition was just published this past September. The 5th edition is several years old. They both have merit and will help you get started. If you want a private consultation with Leon, call his office. He's in Mountain Time. His office number is 303-495-2188. And you can have a private consultation with Leon and talk about things the American Medical Association doesn't want you to know about. Right, Leon?
Absolutely. And, yes, and what is awesome about essential oils, specifically doTERRA, doTERRA is actually a science company wrapped around essential oils. So there's over 40,000 essential oil studies online that are double-blind, peer-reviewed studies that have been published by Johns Hopkins, maybe thousands of these worldwide. And it will say something like frankincense in cancer, and it will describe how effective frankincense is mitigating cancer growth or the progression. And so, there was a BBC article that said frankincense cure to cancer ? And then it crossed out the question mark, and that came out about 4 years ago. So there is ample science behind the oils, and like the other gentleman said earlier, the reason why they don't talk about the sun guns and they prevented it was because of the finances. They can't do all those other things. So, yes, it's very simple to get started. You grab the oils, you get the book, and then you are off to the races. You can learn a lot, and in this case, as far as I know, I'm the only person with doTERRA that's actually giving away ability to go train out at Frenchside or any other entity for that matter for free. So you can go out there and learn and build your skills for preparedness or just for fun. If you want to get to the point of going out to long distance, once you do distinguished graduate in rifle, you can do that as well. So there's so many benefits from the oils across the board. For livestock, for yourself, for children, for seniors.
Well, we've all seen various companies. We've all seen various companies that have premiums. If you open a new checking account, you get a toaster or something like that. But this is a premium that has a huge value to it, dollar value and personal value as well. So get one of those kits, get yourself the training, and move forward with your life. That's what we're trying to do here, Lance. Help people move forward with their lives, aren't we, sir?
Absolutely. And I'm always looking to educate, and I'm always learning, too. So I heard you talk about the stun gun earlier, and I've heard the concept, but I'm going to be pursuing that and also getting them. This weekend there's another gun show in Denver. I'm going to go pick up some extra threaded barrels for my pieces. So in that regard, while I'm there, they have stun guns, so I'm going to get the
Well, Leon, we're out of time.
All right, well, take care, and I will see you next week.
Get yourself a stun gun. Thank you, Leon. That's it for the day. Get your medical supplies and energy, clean your essential oils now while you can. Your firearms, ammunition, every grip of your guns. Please do have a fun, safe, productive day. And God bless America.